Greetings from Ann Arbor, Michigan, a great state and a great place of the great USA. Welcome to our podcast series, and I am promising you that this series is going to be very enlightening, very inspirational, a lot of fun, and something that will really, I think, help you as you walk your path to holiness. This series is going to have a lot of different things that you probably have questions about, but maybe had the opportunity to ask, especially about religious life. Like, what do they do all day? Who are they? Where do they come from? What's it like when a young woman enters religious life? So stay tuned as we will discuss where sisters come from today. Welcome back to our podcast series, The Truth Will Set You Free, as part of the Go LE Digital programs that our community is setting out there for you to be able to enjoy, experience, learn from, and to be challenged from, to live your faith that much more beautifully, that much more purely, that much more intellectually, and with zim and vigor and enthusiasm for our beautiful Catholic faith. And today I have a person who fits all those adjectives that I was just giving to you also, and our Sister Maria. Welcome, Sister Maria.
Thanks, Sister.
Sister Maria, why don't you start? Probably some people have recognized you, but we're not going to begin with this, with your public, you see. But why don't you begin by telling us where you were born and how you were raised and something about yourself.
Okay, so I was born in the Bronx, New York, to a very devout Catholic family. My mom was Brazilian, my dad Portuguese, so I didn't realize until after I got into high school that the way I grew up was very different from what a lot of my American counterparts experienced in the Catholic faith.
You never knew that.
No. I thought it was funny because I went to a friend's house and I didn't see one crucifix. I didn't see an image of Mary. I didn't see the Sacred Heart nowhere. And I thought, for a second I thought, well, maybe she's not Catholic. Because we just had, these were all over the house, and it was part of our life. We breathed everything that was Catholic. My mom was always even praying out loud and out invoking the saints. And so that was just part of our life. And so to not see that as part of, this young woman's faith, it was just startling to me because that was just part of our family, like processions in the backyard to Our Lady. This was normal, and anyway, so we just grew up in a very beautiful, devotional Catholic family where you see the faith come alive. You see the incarnational aspect of our faith, and you can just and you hold on to it because it's what gives you the hope to put one foot in front of the other in the hard times, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to Catholic schools all my life.
Now let me ask you though. Did your brother and your father get as much into the devotionals?
Yes.
How beautiful,
yeah,
sister.
Because my dad was actually always praying the rosary, read scripture every day. Mm-hmm. So because like I said, this was part of, let me give you an example. If you look at some Brazilian and Portuguese artists that are in the secular world, they'll almost always, certainly if they're Catholic, write a religious song, but then they're not pigeonholed into the Christian genre. They can still write secular music and keep writing religious music if they want on that, as one or two, just to pay honor to Our Lady or our Lord. Beautiful. So it's just a different way of thinking. It's realizing that your whole life is actually, it revolves around Christ and the church. Yes. This is how they see it. And Our Lady of Fatima always says that Portugal will always be a Catholic country, because she lives and breathes the faith. She knows
pay attention to this, parents. And you who are going to be having your families, and you raise those kids with devotions. And we love our statues and our holy water and our medals and our scapulars and our processions and our candles and our beautiful.
Because that's what brings the faith to life.
Where'd you go to grade school?
I went to St. Mary's School. Unfortunately, it's closed down now.
Okay, but it was a Catholic
in the Bronx,
school.
Yes. Then I went to Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx.
Yes.
And then I did a little bit at Fordham University before I started in the business world.
Okay, and how did you choose Fordham?
Well, first of all, because when I told my mother that I wanted to go like to Binghamton or to whatever, she's like, "Why are you so stupid? Why you go so far away from home?" So the options were Fordham University or, Manhattan College, Mount St. Vincent. There were a lot of options, but Fordham proved it was more of a academically rigorous school.
Oh, very good.
And so I wanted that aspect.
So the Jesuits were demanding?
Yes, they were.
Good.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
So I started, I started a little just in night school, and actually started in the car business at that time because my parents had paid for my Catholic education all of that time.
Wow.
And my dad said, I really want to help you. I want to be able to help you pay your college, but I can't. We just can't afford it. And so I thought, okay, I need a job that's going to make me a lot of money so that I can pay for school. That's going to be flexible hours, that I can possibly do homework at work. And so I thought, I'll sell cars.
So you just came up with this yourself?
Yes, I was just
Now, were you an achiever even in high school?
Oh yeah, I was.
So your entire life.
I was always looking for a challenge. I was always looking for the next exciting thing to do, to do something good.
That's why we get along
in the world.
Well.
It's just that I wanted to learn as much as I could so that I could do some good.
Beautiful.
I just wanted to do some good. And so I thought, I'm going to become a psychologist because then I can help people with their problems. I can fix them, And so I started in Fordham, and I was working in the car business, and I thought, okay. And then my mom said to me, my dad had gotten very ill. He had diverticulitis, and he kept on getting flare-ups, and eventually he ended up in the hospital with pretty bad, and they had to actually remove part of his colon. And so my mom said, can you just take some time off from school and support the family while your dad is recovering? It shouldn't be more than 3.5 months. That's what they're saying. But disability being what it is, it won't support the household. So of course, my parents had done everything for me and given me the beautiful Catholic education that I had thus far. So I figured I'll go back to school when he's, fine. And now, I got the bug.
Yes.
Because I was making all of this money.
You succeeded, in other words.
Yeah, I was making all this money.
In the world.
And it was nice to be able to go to a store and say, gee, I love that blue pair of shoes. I like the black ones too. I'll just take both. Why decide? I can buy both. And it was exciting because up until then, my mom was so good because she knew what the most important things were for us. And she knew that Catholic education came first.
Wow.
We never went on family vacations.
Wow.
Never.
How beautiful.
Our family vacation was getting in the car, driving 2 hours upstate to go apple picking.
Oh,
and then driving back down.
How beautiful.
Because she knew that it was more important. Going vacationing wasn't important. My parents never went out to dinner.
Wow, sister.
They never went out to dinner because it was less expensive to make your own meals and feed your kids and not have to get a babysitter. And so I knew the importance of, how important it is to save and to have. But I also...
And sacrifice and discipline. However, when it was yours...
But then you also understand that... When you realize that there are all these nice things in the world that you never could have before, and now you can, it becomes really appealing. And you figure, why not? I'm young, I'm making money, I don't have debt, so why not? And so when my dad went on disability and I was helping the family, I thought I could just keep spending money the way I was spending it because I thought that I was making a lot more money than I actually was. So I was paying bills, but I was also still spending money on myself the way I was prior to paying those bills. And my dad, unfortunately, it was 3.5 months, and they said he still has an infection and he's still running fevers, and so we're going to have to keep him, we can't... reverse the colostomy. Anyway, so we were just like, okay, 3.5 months turned into a year and a half of disability. And quickly, it was about the 9-month mark when I realized I was getting myself into debt because I started to borrow from credit cards to pay for things.
Really?
Because it was, I still wanted to maintain and I figured any minute now he's going to be fine. I can recover. I'll just sell a few more cars. I'll recover. But a year and a half later, I realized, what have I got myself into? I was $50,000 in debt. And then at that point, I thought, well, I had thought about religious life, but now that's a pipe dream because I can talk to the Knights of Columbus and say, hey, can you help me out with my debt? But if they ask me what it's for, I can't tell them it's for my shoes and my designer outfits. That's not going to fly, And so
were you living by yourself at this point in time?
No, I was still at home taking care of things at home. Okay. And then my dad got better and started going back to work, and my parents were still looking for me to help. And I remember that a priest friend of mine said, he says, as hard as this is going to sound, if you don't move out of your house, if you don't let them restart their lives, you're never going to get out of there.
Good for him.
And if you have any desire for religious life,
once again,
you'll
the wisdom
never
of these priests, sister, that we go to.
Really,
and
he is a wonderful priest. He's a wonderful priest.
Still your friend today.
Yes, still my friend today, and a friend of the community as well.
Yes, I know exactly who you're referring to.
And so I said, okay, so I started looking for a place, and I finally told my mother, and okay, I'm Brazilian and Portuguese, sister. I'm a first-generation American. And when I told my mother that I wanted to leave and be on my own, she blew a gasket because she said to me, "Not respectable a woman and leave her home before she get married." And I mean, of course, now I'm not a respectable woman. and she would not talk to me. I kid you not, for 2 weeks. And this was a woman who we would talk on the phone 2 or 3 times a day. In the morning to say good morning, during the day to let me know how she was doing, and at night to say good night. But this is typical of the Brazilian culture, and so 2 weeks. I don't know how she did it because
I don't know how she did it either.
And but I kept saying I have to hold my ground. I love her, but I have to hold my ground because
this is for graces.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I popped my head in 2 weeks into the whole not talking bit.
Wow.
And I walk in and there's all these boxes. And I said, "Mom, what are all these boxes?" She goes, "These are all of the things for you to start your new home."
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that sweet?
Then you wanted to stay. No.
I know your tricks.
Exactly.
And it was so beautiful. My mom was always like that. She was always so generous. She would give you the shirt off her back. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was incredible. She was really incredible because she could never stay mad at anyone for too long. Aww. Because she knew that you love God, you love one another. She just knew that.
Isn't that beautiful?
And so I started my little plan, and I thought, okay, if I'm going to enter religious life, I need to kind of work on this debt, but $50,000 is a lot of money, and there's this thing called interest that's compounded.
Yes.
And once you get sucked in, it's incredible how credit cards can suck you in anyway. So fast forward down the line, I had entered the car business as a salesperson, and by the time all was said and done, within a span of 5 years, I was the chief financial officer of 3 car dealerships.
Why am I not too surprised? You had taken over all the businesses.
But I thought, well, clearly, if the Lord has made me a successful Catholic woman, then isn't this what He wants from me? But, sister, this nagging, this desire in my heart that just would not go away. I wanted more. And I kept thinking that the more was something that I could still buy, or that I could tangibly hold in my hands, or that I could show people that I have everything.
More.
Right. Because I was equating my self-worth with my net worth. I was thinking that if I have all of these things, then I'm valuable to God.
Oh, good point, everyone out there listening. Okay, excellent.
And then I realized that money really can't buy you happiness, right? Because the longing at the end of the day was I'd put my head on the pillow and I would say, oh, I have to go to work tomorrow. Gosh, knowing that my best moments were in front of the Blessed Sacrament. We're at Mass. We're helping at youth ministry. We're helping at the bazaar, doing Eucharistic minister, like being Eucharistic minister, reading at Mass. All those things where I was loving, serving, and knowing my God were the moments that were my best moments. That when I finished, I was longing to keep doing them. And I would think, oh, it's over? I have to go to work now? And of course, not really putting two and two together because God knows how we speak. Like, he knows how to speak to the silence of our hearts. If he had known that, if he had said, duh, it's because you're called to religious life. Yes, you can do all of those things all the time. But he knew that if he had said that to me when I wasn't ready, I would have run. He knew that my heart needed to hear it when my heart was open, when it was ready for it, when it was ready to say fiat like Our Lady did, right? Beautiful. And so I kept on, on the fence, off the fence, and I was finally, I made this deal with God. I said, all right, you're going to have to force my hand. Okay? This is like, I'm such a jerk sometimes because it's like, really, you did that to God? And I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to force my hand. Okay. I either want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 33, or you have to take it all away. Wow. So that I become your bride. Wow. I said, it's your choice. You have to do this because you know that I'm weak and I can't. You know that because honestly, I was so materialistic. Even with all of the things I was doing in the church, I know that part of why I was doing the things I was doing was, yes, it gave me great pleasure and I loved it, but because it was also assuaging my guilt. Pacifying. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, okay, you're going to have to take this away if you don't want it. So lo and behold, I'm working for 3 Saturn dealerships, and I became chief financial officer. And within a span of 3 years, because of mismanagement, we just were losing a ton of money. Wow. And the details are not important.
I bet those others didn't appreciate your prayer.
So I didn't cause the loss of the Anyway, so one by one, General Motors, because General Motors had purchased the stores and made me CFO, General Motors started closing the stores down. Wow. And a liquidator had to come in and close shop, and I was the last one standing with the liquidator. Wow. And all of a sudden it became very apparently clear. I said, well, God called my bluff. Wow. And so I said, okay, now what? And I remembered that same priest who had told me, had given me the good advice about, you have to be on your own, also told me about our community. And he said, you need to call them because I think you would love them. You would fit in your personality, and they want people to be authentically themselves anyway. Yes. So this was early on in the community's history. I get somebody, and I said, I'd like to come and visit. And someone said, I am so sorry, but we're in the middle of construction. There's not one single spot where I can even put you if you want to visit. However, I can send you a newsletter and then you can come to or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, I did my part, right? He asked me to call. I did. I'm good. It didn't work out. Fast forward. And I realized after seeing that newsletter, I said, this is the community for me. Wow. And so I called this time. I emailed in earnest, and I emailed you from out of the blue. You never heard of me, and I said, my name is Eva Silva, and I'm interested in religious life, blah, blah, blah. I gave you all my details, and you said, hon, you have to come on retreat, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember saying, okay, when is the retreat? And it happened to be the weekend of my dad's birthday. And I had said, I'm pretty sure that I'm called to religious life, and I probably will enter within a year. And I think I should be home for my dad's birthday. And I'll never forget, you said, you have to make a choice. Are you gonna put God first in your life? And it was a hard thing to hear, but it was 100% correct. So I went. And I'll be honest, I thought, okay, at that time I was 31 years old, and so I'm thinking, I'm seeing all these little these youngsters around, and they're like, oh, hi. And I'm like, whoa, what am I doing here? And actually it's funny because I wasn't quite myself on that retreat because I felt like if this is kind of the norm of what is being, then I don't know if I belong here because I don't fit into this setting of these like young, like, I mean, 31 is not old, but I just thought, I'm not a teenager. I'm not a 20 something. I just thought, and I'll never forget, I was one of the first people here for the retreat.
I remember too.
We were ushered into the guest refectory, what I now know is the guest refectory. And we all were going to sit and eat. And it's one of those things where everyone is awkwardly sitting and not knowing what to say. And I'm like my mother. She was always the person in the room that got rid of that awkwardness. Beautiful. She was always the one that made everyone feel like they were, wherever they were, there was a little bit of home where they were. And she made them feel comfortable. And so I just said, hey, how about we all go around, say your name, how old you are, where you're from, some funny little thing about yourself, and then that way we get to know each other, because I knew that would eventually start conversations, and then it would be. And so I don't know what happened after that, but we all go through our thing, and there's nice idle chatter, and I'm like, oh, good, everyone's getting comfortable, whatever. You come in, and you sit down, and I'm trying to be
perfect
on my best behavior.
Perfect. I remember
trying to be on my best behavior because I was afraid, like, I'm not a wallflower. I'm not shy, and I don't want to scare the good sisters. And I don't want to, if this is my home, I don't want them to be afraid of me and not take me, right? So I said, I have to be on my very best behavior, and I'm going to be such a good little, possible pre-postulant. And so I was all there. And then it's so funny because I'm just sitting there minding my own business. And here you come and look at me and you say, oh, hon, you just let your hair down. It's okay. You just be yourself. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, oh, I can see it in your eyes. You just be yourself. You just go for it. And I thought, how on earth did this woman peg me without even talking to me, really?
It's not too hard.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was hysterical. And from then on, it was just, there was a sense of, I can be me.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the Lord wanted me to just kind of observe and soak it all in. Because most of the people that know that I was on that retreat don't even remember me being there, because I kind of I wanted to see what the life was, not from the perspective of the young women that were visiting, but I wanted to watch the sisters and watch their joy. I wanted to watch them pray. I wanted to just soak it all in and not get in the way of it. So I remember that you had said, okay, I'm going to take you to speak with Mother, you and a few other girls. And I thought, oh, okay, that's nice. I had no clue. And so I was one of the first ones in. I go and I talk to Mother. I come back out, and one of the young women says, aren't you so excited that you actually talked to Mother? This is such a big deal, and whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she says, well, Sister Josephina doesn't just let anyone talk to Mother. And I'm thinking now, and I'm like, what is she talking? She goes, well, it's because we're older. I was like, did she just say that to me? Anyway, so I was like, okay, whatever. You came at this point and you ushered me to the chapel. The first time I got into the chapel, because we had gotten kind of shuffled, whatever. I walk into the chapel and I look at the beautiful reredos that's in the chapel. And I'm an artist and I love art. And I usually don't keep how I feel about things to myself.
Exactly.
I'm usually, if I'm happy, you're going to know I'm happy. If I'm joyful about something.
Could you guess this audience? I'm sure.
If I'm joyful about something, I want to let the world know, right? Because you know that brings joy to other people. I walked into the chapel, I'm genuflected, I went into the pew, and it was like I just walked into a living room.
Wow.
Like I had, and it was so bizarre because I'm the kind of person that I get wowed very easily by beauty. No, I shouldn't say that. I get wowed by authentic beauty.
Good.
by beauty that lifts your mind and heart to God.
Yes.
And this Raredos does that. And I remember I just knelt there and I started praying. I said, okay, Lord, I'm done. I'm done. I just want to do your will. I just want to become a saint. Please just tell me where that is. And I felt like in the quiet of my heart, he said, it's here with my grace.
Beautiful.
And I thought, I must be doing that psychological thing of transference. Like I'm just talking to myself. So, okay, I'm going to try this again. Okay, Lord, please. I'm so tired of trying to figure out. I just want to know if is this it? I want to become a saint. And I want to know, is it here? And he goes, yes, it's here with my grace.
Wow.
And I thought, okay. I'm talking to myself again because I'm telling myself what I want to hear so that I can just get on with life, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to just try one more time. Third time's a charm, right? I said, Lord, please, I just want to become a saint. Where am I going to become a saint? And he says, it's here with my grace. And I said, if you're not going to talk to me, I'm going to go talk to your mother. And so I started praying the rosary. And I said, okay, because she's always, Our Lady has always she's been my rock. She's always pointed me to her son. She's never steered me wrong. She's saved my life numerous occasions. And so I was praying the rosary and I just felt a peace. And it was like Our Lady said, just enjoy the weekend. Just enjoy the weekend.
That's perfect.
And then we have this, you select a litany title of Our Lady as part of our retreat. You have to talk about it. So I get this basket and I pull it and I'm thinking, I want a good one. So I love the Litany of Mary. I'm thinking, I want House of Gold, Tower of Ivory, Gate of a Mystical Rose. I want a good one, right? So I pull it. Mary, Mother of Jesus. What? I'm like, what? This is boring. And then there's this little 15-year-old, or she's not 15, I'm just exaggerating. But there's this little one who's like, come on, give me the basket. I'm trying to put it back and get another one. And I'm like, God, that's the wrong way to approach this. I can't do that. So I handed the basket begrudgingly. And so I went to my holy hour that night and I took my litany title. And it was 2:30 in the morning. And I said to Our Lady, okay, tell me what you want me to know.
Wow.
Tell me what you want me to know. Give me peace in my heart. Show me what I'm supposed to do. Help me to say yes in whatever it is that the Lord wants. And so I'm thinking, and of course it's 2:30 in the morning, so you're a little tired, right? And so I'm thinking, and all of a sudden I have this image. I've always loved thinking about Our Lady as a mom, playing with little baby Jesus, tying his little collar or doing the things a mother does in the everyday, normal, seemingly mundane way, right?
Beautiful.
I just love thinking about those things. And I thought, I wonder if, she's the Mother of God. She knows he's the Messiah. I wonder if she, played with him a little, and messed with him,
You would have.
Where'd the Son of God go? There he is! Who's the Son of God? Yes, you are! I had this image of her playing with him. Because all parents play with their kids, right?
Exactly.
And then I had this thought of, do you know when you give a baby a raspberry on their belly and they laugh? With that laugh that's from their gut, that you have to be stone cold, not to just be tickled to death by how beautiful a sound it is to come from a baby. And I thought Mary was the first one to hear that sound.
How beautiful.
And then I wondered if when she was at the foot of the cross, if those were the kinds of moments that she held on to. Those moments when her son was delighted and was filled with joy and love, realizing that this moment on the cross wasn't too different from that. Because he knew what he was doing was love, right? And so, and I then all of a sudden it clicked, and I thought, I remembered thinking when I'd first thought about religious life that I wanted 5 things in a community. I wanted, first of all, a community that was authentically Marian. Because I've always been Mary's girl. Always. I've just loved her, just ever since I was a child. And I knew that if people looked at me, I wanted them to see that I was Mary's girl.
Beautiful.
But then I wanted a
Maria.
Right. No surprise there. So then I wanted a community that was Eucharistic, not because the Lord is second, but because I knew if I found a community that was authentically Marian, it would be a given that it would be authentically Eucharistic. I just knew. So the two came hand in hand. I knew I wanted those two things. The third thing I wanted was a community that was traditional. I wanted the habit. I wanted the veil. I wanted the rosary. I had this image of me in a convertible with my veil flapping in the breeze. We don't own a convertible. We never will own a convertible. I don't know where I had that image. It was probably the car business that's affecting that anyway. But I had this image of just almost this delightful, playful image of what it would be like to be a sister and how delightful it would be to my heart, Aww. So I wanted the traditional thing because, I wanted people to be able to see me and know who I was. I didn't want to walk around and people not understand. I wanted people to see a bride of Christ, not Eva Silva. I wanted them to see a Dominican sister of Mary. I wanted them to see that if they wanted to talk to me, they could. I wanted them to see it as a welcome, because I knew that's what it was. Then I wanted a community that was intellectual because as much as I love to joke around, I'm a nerd through and through. So I wanted something that was going to challenge me. I wanted someone that was going. I always said that I wanted to marry a husband. Like my husband had to be smarter than me. Well, there you go. Found him. There's no one smarter. The fifth thing I wanted, and this was the linchpin for me. I wanted a community with a sense of humor.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I wanted a community that could have fun.
Amen.
That could smile, laugh at their mistakes, find the joy in life, not take themselves so seriously that it that you feel like you're walking around like I just wanted an authentic joy and love. And then I could hear in my head your laugh. And I thought and I saw in my mind this image.
Oh, sister.
And I thought that, doesn't it look like Our Lady's saying, oh, you're
yes,
son of
it
God.
Does.
Yes, and it was like a piece of a puzzle, the last one, that you've been focusing so much on a section, right? That when you put the last piece of the puzzle and you stand back, you see this beautiful image. And it all makes sense.
Beautiful.
It wasn't like God said, you're to become a nun or you're to become a sister. It was like I saw it in my mind and it was clear. And I had this distinct realization that if I did not enter religious life, I would never be really joyful and happy.
How beautiful.
So I said, okay, Lord.
We are so glad that you said okay and that you are here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that
Sister, will you come back and do another one of these?
Yes.
Please? Okay. I didn't think that you would be too shy to answer. And I also want to say to our audience, I know you thoroughly enjoyed that. I know you laughed and laughed and laughed. So you can either press rewind or you can watch this again, or you can get our book, And Marriage Just Continues, in which that particular book, which is published by the community. So again, you can buy this book, And Marriage Just Continues. Sister Maria's story is in there.
Chapter 13 for Our Lady.
Chapter 13 for Our Lady of Fatima, who always appeared on the 13th of the month. Sister Maria, you are delightful. You always are. You're always sister. A bundle of energy. You have such holy enthusiasm. May you have it all your life and give it to the church. And I'm so grateful that you're a Dominican sister, Mary Mother of the Eucharist.
The apple doesn't fall far from the spiritual tree, huh?
God bless you. Thank you, sister. God bless you all.
So if you like the material on this particular podcast, then please click on the next podcast for another fascinating story.